The Browns are on their way out. The offseason program in the books by the time you're going to listen to this. Players are, well, they aren't going back home. They've been home, but they are done with their offseason program. We're into July. And let's just talk about where we are and what's next for this football team. So, Mary Kay, the Browns got a little bit of extra time, especially with the veterans, having them through this week. What kind of happened here this week, and what were the Browns trying to finish up?
Well, they actually had a whole 10 weeks of the offseason program because they got to start a little bit early. And of course, then they were able to finish a little bit late. And some teams quit, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, but Kevin Stefanski, just carried it right through to this week and took full advantage of it. So today what happened was, or this week, what happened was he had a team meeting on Monday, gave these guys their marching orders for the next 5 weeks. Basically set forth expectations, what he wants from them, just in terms of, off the field behavior, workouts, commitment, and those kinds of things. And then, he told us that he will have the rookies, quarterbacks, injured guys back on July 24th. This is theoretically speaking, of course, and the veterans back on July 28th. So, that's basically it in a nutshell.
If you think that this Browns organization, the front office, Stefanski and his coaching staff excel at thinking outside the box and are super organized and just generally smart, then this is where they show it. It's where you go through something unprecedented like this, and if they can come out of it and go into training camp and prove that they were, that they did everything they needed to do and that they excelled in this weird situation, then, it goes back to telling you that you have the right people in charge, because there are a lot of previous regimes that maybe you could question how they might have handled all this. And it just seems from the start that Andrew Berry and his group and Kevin Stefanski have just had a really good focus and a really good plan, and seems to, they knew what they wanted to get done and they went ahead and did it.
Yeah, I think they had to get creative, and I think that they really made the most of it. I mean, Alex Van Pelt obviously was changing up Baker Mayfield's footwork, and he was able to, to see on film the little nuances of that. And then, they gave these guys quizzes. I mean, they did things that they probably wouldn't have done. They went overboard to make sure that these guys knew the installations of the schemes, the offense and the defense. And I just think that they overcompensated and worked probably even harder than they would have if they were out on the field. They probably didn't have a whole lot of wasted time. I mean, your meeting time was probably so structured and so organized. They didn't waste 1 second of any of that. So I think they got a lot accomplished. I think another thing to really look at as we are going forward here into the offseason is, and I wrote about this, is whether or not Baker Mayfield is going to host another Camp Mayfield. We keep hearing Kevin Stefanski say that, the Browns are at the same disadvantages as everybody else in the NFL. But I don't believe that's true. I mean, I think that they are at a distinct disadvantage from other teams in the NFL in that they are installing systems. They're installing schemes. The coaches don't know their players. They don't know how these guys are going to respond or react. They don't know if Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield are going to have any timing in this new offense. They don't know if Baker's new footwork is going to work properly. They don't know if Jedrick Wills is going to look good over on the left side, and that if he has muscle memory to be that left tackle that he's going to be. They don't know any of that stuff yet. Whereas, once again, as we mentioned before, Sean Payton was able to say, you guys, let's cancel the virtual offseason program. You guys go do your thing, and we'll see you later. The Browns don't have that luxury. I mean, they just don't. To the extent that they can, they have to try to get ready to field a football team and play a game. They don't know what they have. I mean, yeah, other teams have new players, like the Ravens, but for the most part, the Ravens, they know the terminology, the schemes, they know what they're doing. The Browns don't. And yes, they are a step behind the others.
Let's shift ahead a little bit to training camp. Right now, the report date is July 28th. That's the 47 days before the first game. Rookies and quarterbacks report a few days before that, July 24th, injured players as well. But, for our purposes, the official report date is July 28th. That's when the veterans have to show up, what they'll do their they'll run and do their testing and all of that stuff. And then you'd imagine your first practice would probably be on the 29th. But again, all of that is still very much up in the air. And that's one of the other difficulties that Kevin Stefanski and his staff face, Mary Kay, is they're planning, much like the rest of the NFL, they're planning for these hard dates that are normal, but we still just don't know if that's really what's going to happen yet.
Yeah, and especially considering that just yesterday, the Hall of Fame game was canceled. August 6th in Canton, Steelers, Cowboys, the game, the enshrinement ceremonies, all of that stuff canceled. And, and I think that, that could be a sign of things to come a little bit. There has been some talk that there might only be 2 preseason games instead of 4. I mean, the fact that they don't feel ready to pull off those ceremonies and that game on August 6th. Well, the Browns are supposed to play a game on August 15th in Chicago. So if they're not going to do one on August 6th, are they going to do one on August 15th? It's all up in the air right now. Nobody really knows how this is going to go, but I don't know. I'm guessing that means that they are going to lop off those first 2 preseason games and just focus on the final 2.